road. 5 points in the darkness make a different kind of show. They say we're better together, but what do they know when the stars align differently down here below? And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. Remember all the stories that your granddad told about a republic that wouldn't be controlled. Now the suits in the city say we've all been sold, but there's a fire burning that just won't get old. And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. They draw their lines on paper, we draw ours in the sand. Some dreams are getting closer, while some don't understand. Don't understand. The highways stretch forever toward a setting sun, where cattle graze on memories of battles won. They say unity's the answer, but maybe we're done with playing by the rules of the chosen ones. Oh, maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome so much to Late Night Coffee Talk. Yeah, I think tonight might be a little spicy. I'm just saying. I have a sneaking suspicion that will be the case. We've got, as you might imagine, a lot to talk about tonight. We are streaming live across multiple channels, and just excited wherever you're joining us tonight. Excited to have you here. I came in screeching in at the last second, so forgive me real quick. I got to get a sip of this. All right, So before we get rolling with your questions and stuff that we need to talk about tonight, let's go ahead and get all the business stuff out of the way. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement, and this is Late Night Coffee Talk. This is that time in the middle of the week where I take a break from what I'm working on. I come in here, I fire this thing up, and I answer your questions, whatever is on your mind about TEXIT, about the Texas Nationalist Movement, Texas politics, culture, what self-determination, whatever it is. You are more than free to ask those questions, and I will be here for the next hour to answer them for you. How do you ask questions? Well, that would be your first question, and I'm just anticipating it and going to get it out of the way. But to begin with, if you are on the Texan app, it's quite easy. We have a chat over there where we are live streaming on our own app. If you don't know about the Texan app, be sure to check it out, Texan.app. It is the backbone, the framework, the chief tool, the Swiss Army knife of the movement to make Texas a self-governing independent nation. And it's a great place to connect with other people like you who believe that Texas should be a self-governing independent nation. So check it out, Texan.app, or you just go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, download it, set up your account. It's the old TNM Social, right? It's what TNM Social used to be, only like 9 million times better. But go over there and find us, taking questions over there. You can submit your questions in the Q&A section on the live stream, and I will get to them. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, whichever of the YouTube channels you're watching on. The same thing, and of course, if you have a question, drop it in the chat over there. Super chats are live, so you can. That would be much appreciated if you could do that. And then, of course, always drop a comment and share this with people. It helps us beat the algorithm. If you are watching us on any of the X accounts that we're streaming on, you can be sure to do the same thing, right? Just drop your question in chat. Be sure to share it with your friends. Same thing on Facebook. Drop your question in chat. Be sure to like and comment. And when you drop your questions in there, they all sort of aggregate, including Rumble, which I have it on good authority that although we were allegedly streaming on Rumble the last few weeks, apparently we weren't. So, but I think we are tonight. So I think we got that lined out, but you could drop your question in chat there as well. That's a lot. I mean, there's just a lot, it's kind of the state of things when we're having to just push to every platform known to man and multiple accounts on every one of those platforms. It's just pure insanity, right? Help us get this stuff consolidated down. Come over here on the Texan app. It's where all the cool kids are. All right. Am I getting the FIFA question again? I literally just saw it pop up over here. I answered that one already. Anyway, let's get down to it. So, here we are. This is the last late night coffee talk before everyone celebrates. And I would say before everyone celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, where 13 colonies declared themselves 13 self-governing independent nation states and basically told Great Britain to pound sand, right? It's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration. It's not the 250th birthday of America, because it's kind of a thing, but it's not a thing. It's not what people think. And so people, weirdly, I think this happens with a lot of these holidays, is they go celebrate or commemorate the wrong thing. So look, tonight, we're not going to be dwelling on that fact, right? We got bigger fish to fry, like, the thing that the spirit that inspired that Declaration of Independence, making it operational in 2026, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. But that being said, look, I got to piggyback off of what I talked about last week, which is that spirit that was alive in that document, regardless of what people are celebrating this weekend. The spirit that was alive in that document led directly to the spirit of 1836 when Texas declared its independence from Mexico. And it is that same spirit that animates and fuels us in the very modern era, that governments govern by consent of the governed. And at the moment that governments cease to serve those they purport to govern, those that are governed can withdraw that consent and throw off those shackles and institute a new form of government, right? Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution lays it all out very plainly. The people have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think expedient. And friends, given the number of people that have suddenly flooded in through the front door of the TNM over the last few days, I would say that there are many people that may have been on the fence or may have been playing the TEXIT hokey pokey with one foot in and one foot out. It seems to me that many people are making up their minds that what is happening in Washington, D.C., this purported government, is no longer serving the people that it purports to govern. And they are making their choice loud and clear. And so to all of you new people that have come on in the last few days, let me be the first to welcome you to the Texiteers, Team TEXIT, the core of Texans, whatever you want to call it. Oh, and that's another thing. People taking me to task on social media for using the term Texian. Guys, do your research. Well, it just sounds weird. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right. Doesn't matter, because we are mushing on. We know exactly who we are. And again, a big welcome to all of you that have joined us recently. I see somebody commented on YouTube. They said, what do you mean no longer serving the people? Yeah, I mean, exactly that. He says that ended decades and decades ago. Yes, it did. It's just taking people some time to catch up. Sometimes it kind of sucks to be on the bleeding edge of things, but I got to tell you, I'm glad we're ahead of the curve on this one. All right, let's get down to your questions for tonight. Let's see. Oh, and you know, I forgot one other way that you could submit your questions is to send an email to coffeetalk@thetnm.org. You'll see it down there on the ticker on the here on the screen. It'll scroll by here in a second down there, but you'll find it. But send it via email. Many of you already have. So that is where I'm going to start tonight. So this is from Robert. Robert says, I believe that the ruling from the Supreme Court on childbirth eligibility is the perfect opportunity for TNM to move forward on the Texas independence issue now. Enough is enough. Talk is cheap. Let's get it done. Let's get off the pot. Oh, God, I'm reading all of this. It's time to rally the Texans to the streets of Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Corpus. Okay. It's a list of geography here in Texas. To demonstrate / rally for Texas independence, we must also be in the streets of Dallas in September. TNM, give us the rally cry and let's get it started. Let's make Sam Houston proud. What say you? I say that is, some things sound really cool when you're typing them out on a keyboard or when you're speaking them, but in practice, you know, and I'm not being a Debbie Downer. I mean, this is, you know, rally up. I mean, I'm not stopping you from doing that, right? But I'm going to tell you, the vast majority of our people, they work or they own businesses, and, you know, they want to keep earning and grinding. But, you know, this idea of having some mass demonstration or mass rally, that I don't disagree with you, right? But it only matters when it matters. And when it matters is not randomly going out into the street on a random date and, you know, raising holy hell. I mean, that's just not the most effective means. And so if you would like to know the most effective means, just follow us and you will see that when the time to come, when the bugle sounds, that will be the time to be there. today, this week is not the time for the bugle to sound. Sure, you should be motivated by these things. The fact that Texas had zero say whatsoever in, determining who gets to be a Texan and who doesn't. But, this is not the time. And, there is going to be a time when we sound the bugle, and I would suggest that you are ready to show up, right? But in the meantime, we have this thing called a plan, and we are continuing to work the plan, which is actually going to be one of the questions that I'm taking that was pre-submitted actually on the Texan app tonight. And I'm going to be talking about that. But if you want to understand what that plan is, go to the website, go to vtnm.org and literally click on the menu item that says the plan. And you will see beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a plan. We are following that plan. And the idea, and I'm just going to tell you, maybe people are going to say, hey, you sound a little bit grumpy about this, a little bit raw. It's no slam at you, Robert, right? This is not about Robert, and it's not about me being salty about this, other than the fact that there is some implication in this question that talk is cheap, let's get it done, let's get it off the pot, which is really, really hard for people like me and others in leadership or the other volunteers that are working hard, that are, I'm putting in, I don't know about you, Robert, but I'm putting in 18, sometimes 20-hour days advancing this, right? And, so the fact of the matter is maybe it's just that I find the insinuation that there is no work being done, that we are not advancing because we're not in the street on a random day holding up a sign, that somehow we're not working. Because I can tell you, the work product says that that's not the case at all. So let me just take this opportunity to applaud all of you that have volunteered and that are working your tails off to make this happen and that are advancing the ball. And then let me take this opportunity to also speak to folks out there that are not, right? That are just getting involved or have, maybe taken a break or whatever it is. Now is your time, right? Not when the time to avoid death at the gallows is not when the noose is around your neck. It's before you ever get there. And if you wait, then you got problems, right? I don't want to go back and quote that entire letter from 1835 that I've quoted many times on here and on a podcast, but there is one phrase that speaks to all of us, and it is, there is danger in delay. Don't delay, right? But also don't do the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? Right actions at the right time in the right manner equal to right outcomes. We want to win this. We don't want to just go out there and blow off steam. We want to win. And so we have to do the things that it takes to win. And sometimes that means not going out there and trying to have a rally and doing all that kind of stuff when there are more effective things that need to happen or steps that need to happen before that happens. I recall often the remarks from Sergei Popovich. I've talked about this on the program before. He was one of the leaders of the movement in Serbia that toppled Milosevic, right? And one of the few remaining communist dictators in Yugoslavia, toppled the Milosevic regime. And he said that, when that moment happened, it was like a switch flipped and everybody was so surprised. He says, but the people who weren't surprised were the people who over the previous 10 years have participated in 5 campaigns and, had done all that work ahead of time. None of those people were surprised. The only people who were surprised were the ones that weren't paying attention and weren't working, right? So boom, there it is. That is the voice literally of experience of someone who has been there and done that. So look, I would encourage you to go to vtnm.org, go click on the plan, read it, and then understand. Or here's one that's even better. If you are on the Texan app and you're a member, you have access to the entire course for the TEXIT blueprint, right? It is all the video, all of the transcripts, all of that material from the day-long seminar that was held in Greenville, Texas. We did 2. We did one in Greenville, one in Lufkin. And you can go there and take that TEXIT blueprint course, and then you will understand it in the way that I do and the way the rest of the leadership does, to understand how this plan comes together. So anyway, thank you for your email, Robert. All right, let me come over here. Okay, here's one. Daniel, this came from the Texan app. Daniel, did you see all of the tanks, helicopters, troop trucks coming out of East Texas the last couple of days to ship out? We ain't about to make peace. What's the point of this goofy war? It does not value Texas one bit. I haven't seen that, but it doesn't surprise me. You know, I mean, I can't say that I'm shocked or surprised by that in the least. Okay, let me take another one off the Texan app real quick. This one is from Morris, who, by the way, went ahead and donated to the T&M during a late night coffee talk. It didn't come through YouTube or one of those others, so I have no way to show it on the screen. But let me just say, Morris, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for your contribution. And look, if you're on YouTube, you can do super chat, but if you're watching on Texan, there's a donate button. This helps us get the word out and connect with more Texans, okay? So here's his question. And this is the one I was referring to a moment ago. Morris says, one would think that our movement would be gaining political momentum at an incredible pace. Federal politicians are saying that we deserve the 9/11 attacks. Wow. I mean, that's a bold choice, Cotton. They are pushing the ideas of abolishing private property, making public statements saying that white people should not exist. Neither should borders or the police. Gulags have also been talked about, and that's very true by politicians. They have said these things. I've seen them. It says, and I'm sure there are more that I left out. Seems like the good old boys in Austin would take notice and take the T&M's message more seriously. Morris, they are. I mean, look, we're in between legislative sessions, right? So, you know, this kind of goes back to something that Robert, that I was talking about with Robert's question, which is there's a lot of work that's happening. There are organizers in the field. There's leadership that is working with these organizers. These organizers are out there taking the case to the people of Texas, connecting them with the organization, doing step one of the TEXIT blueprint, which is building capacity, right? These are things that must be done. But there are also other things that are happening behind the scenes, right? You guys probably have not seen that we have a new political director, right? Mac Duncan is our political director now, and he's been working with Texas First Pledge signers and getting more and more of those, not just candidates, but office holders at every level signing the Texas First Pledge. Go to taketexasback.com. You'll see the stats. They update live as they come in. We announce them on the Texan app when they come in. So, you know, go look at the quality. I mean, we're literally doing this on the day when a statewide Texas First Pledge signer was appointed to the position that he won the nomination for in the primaries 5 months early. You know, Don Huffines today appointed Texas Comptroller. And, you know, you think about the implications for that. You know, a Texas First Comptroller, somebody who believes that Texans should have the ability to vote, who will help us make Texas more structurally and functionally like a self-governing independent nation. The implications there just kind of, they write themselves. I mean, just do the math and kind of see what that does for us on the economic front in terms of currency or, you know, economic nationalism or the gold depository or sound money, or, I mean, you just kind of take all of these things and you realize that happened today, right? So in the week where we get these Supreme Court rulings where Texas doesn't have a say in who gets to be a Texan and who doesn't, what you also get is the solution moving that direction. You know, the fact that we're having conversations with legislators about the shape of the next legislative session. We've got an announcement. We've got a new We've got a new ledge director coming on, and honestly, I would have liked to have been able to announce it already, but we're still stuck in onboarding. That we'll get that knocked out ASAP. But when we make the announcement, you guys will see things are definitely happening. And I've got an announcement that I'm going to make tonight, right? Where you can see that things are definitely moving and progressing. So, to say, seems like they would take notice and take the message more seriously. They are. Go look at the statement that was made by the Sharia-Free Texas Caucus, and tell me in that statement that you don't see the fingerprints or the DNA of what we are doing and how we have moved the conversation, how we've shifted the Overton window. It's all there. So, the fact of the matter is we've got an opportunity here. I mean, we are gearing up for the next legislative session where you will see not just the referendum bill filed, you're going to see other things filed that are super important as well. So, we're here. We're here, Morris. It's happening. When people are like, what's taking so long? Why haven't we texted yet? It's like, it's already happening. It's literally happening right in front of every single one of us. And, the cool part is we're all making it happen. We're working to make it happen. This thing would not have happened in a vacuum. And so again, thank you to everyone who is participating in making that a reality, because I'm going to tell you, there are going to be a lot of folks, and maybe even some of you out there, that are very shocked when everything happens. You're going to be like the dog that caught the car. What do I do now? Well, you're about to find out. Anyway, thank you for that question, Morris. Let's get in here to some more questions. Let's see what we got. Wow. Okay. Thank you to Sean, who gifted 20 channel memberships on YouTube to any of the folks that are watching. Some of you probably just got a message that you are now a channel member. So thank you very much for that, Sean. And a big hello to Charlotte, who just became a YouTube channel member as well. So thank you for that. Really, really do appreciate it. Let me do this too. I mentioned it a couple times. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to beat you all to death with it, but look, there's the Texan app. If you have not signed up on Texan yet, that is something we definitely need to get you to do, because that's where all the organizing is happening. Be sure to head over to Texan.app. All right. Let's get down. Oh, yeah. I was handling some of these over here. So we nailed those, Sean. Thank y'all so much. Oh, this is good. Okay. Really good one. Texas Huntsman says Texas has about $67 billion in state government debt. What happens to that with TEXIT? Do we carry it, kick it back, and say the entity that debt was made with no longer exists? It's a really good question. Okay. So let's break it apart and let's take it one step at a time, right? But oddly, I want to take the last part first. Because it really, the answer to that actually matters more than you would think. Okay, so the thing that you got to think about with this is the entity part, right? So essentially what you're asking is, do we tell people that Texas incurred this debt with, typically it's in bonds and things of that nature, right? When they issue government bonds. But you're saying, okay, the state of Texas no longer exists. It's this other thing. Okay. If that's the case, if you do that, you actually undercut your argument in separating from the union, right? And when I say that, I mean, you actually undercut the process, because you're essentially talking about destroying one entity and replacing it with another. And one of the key I guess, strategies for Texas independence is really encapsulated or encoded in the referendum question that we want people to vote on. You know, if you look at that question, should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? We are literally just talking about the entity as it is by definition, Article 1, Section 1, a free and independent state, that it has not lost its sovereign character. And what we are doing is we are resuming those powers that were delegated by virtue of membership in the Union. So in that sense, you're not talking about the destruction of one entity and the creation of another one. Okay. If you were to do that, now you're looking at a completely different road, right? Now you have to have a new constitution from scratch. I mean, it changes the calculus. It really flips some of the process and makes it much more difficult. So the more strategic sound strategy, the more strategically sound route is to follow through with this process, right? We are the state of Texas. That's just a name. The entity exists, right? We can show that under the Montevideo Convention definitions. The entity exists. We are resuming those powers. But with that, that means we assume any of the obligations that were acquired during that time, right? Otherwise, we're talking about a complete reset. So that being said, you would want to break down what that $67 billion is in state government debt. I would suggest waiting until we release the report. That's the update from the 2015 report that we did to show how much Texas overpays into the Union, because that very thing about the 67 billion is actually somewhat addressed, even though it doesn't deal with our particular relationship with the federal government. But when you see what the relationship costs us with the federal system, suddenly that $67 billion gets kind of refocused a bit, right? And so there is some of that, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but the entity there would be no change in that. We would still eat that debt because we acquired that debt. The upside is that we would have the amazing ability to get rid of that debt fairly easily after TEXIT, because of the elimination of the imbalance that we have with the federal system. So there's that. But that is a really, really good question, and I want to thank you for submitting it. Okay, let's go back over here and take a look at where's that? There it is. All right. This is, I don't understand what this Q&A is. It doesn't, that I know of. Me and Lee J have been volunteering almost 10 years, myself 9. What do I know? I don't understand that. Okay. I'm sure there was a question there. I just don't know what it was. So we're gonna move right on past that one. Let's get over here to email. Okay, this is from Charles. Charles says, is there any plan to make the song Under Our Own Sky available on a CD? Also, really like the new You Did Everything Right push card. It tells my story. Okay, so Charles, great to hear from you, by the way. I mean, we wouldn't make it Under Our Own Sky available on CD. Maybe we'll do something and make it available as part of like a fundraiser or something like that. If you guys would like that, it's the song that we kind of lead off our live streams with. If you guys want access to that, be more than happy. We'll see if we can't figure something out. Maybe we make it a member exclusive download for on the Texan app or something like that. I don't know. Let me explore that and we'll figure it out. Also, you know what? I don't know if I have one of these here. Charles said he likes the new You Did Everything Right postcard, or the push cards, and I don't have one here with me. I wish I did. I got the Declaration of Independence push cards, right? These things are available in the Texan store. If you want to get those, I don't have that. I can show you a link. There you go. There's the Texan store. There's where you can get them. There's 2 new push cards. There are actually, I think, 4 more on the way that will be added to the store shortly. But each of these is very specific, right? They address very specific things, very specific messages. Each of them goes to their own landing page that talks about the particular issue addressed on the push card. So if you want to talk to some people, if they've got a particular, oh, look at that. Thank you very much. There we go. There it is. Here's the "you did everything right." Right? It says you voted, you called, you showed up, you sent good people to Washington. It still got worse. Maybe the fix was never a better candidate. Maybe it's a free Texas. And information on the back for how people can find out more and get involved. But that's where it is. They're both available in the Texan store right now. I think they're in bundles of 100, and we do them at cost just so you guys can get them in your hands. But thank you, Kara, for bringing that in here. And Charles, thank you so much for your question. All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. Let me remind everybody, if you're just now joining us and haven't gotten your question in, now is the time to do it. You can do that by dropping your question in the Q&A on the Texan app, Texan.app, and doing it on the live stream. You'll see the Q&A button, so you can do it there. Additionally, if you're watching on any of the YouTube channels, any of the X accounts or Facebook accounts or Rumble, wherever you're seeing this, drop your question in the chat. They all aggregate over here in this window that Kara goes through and finds the actual questions from all of you guys having a good time chatting. Like, if nothing else, I would come on here for an hour and find something to talk about just so you guys could chat amongst yourselves, because you guys seem to have a great time doing it. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Also, you still have time. You could email your question. It's going to be down here at the bottom. Email your question to coffeetalk@vtnm.org. It'll be there on the ticker, and get it in while you can. All right, let's get here and see what we got. Should I make the announcement now or should I wait till the end? I'm looking at Kara to see if she'll nod. Should I make the announcement now or should I wait till the end? Now? Okay. She's in a very little tiny screen down here at the bottom. It's kind of fun to watch because, I think I need a new pair of eyeglasses. Anyway, it's pretty fun. Okay, so look, this has been a long time coming, right? And this being, tomorrow being the eve of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, we've chosen tomorrow to launch the newest project campaign for the TNM. So many of you know that for many, many years, the TNM has had an active international engagement campaign. And we basically refer to working with other independence movements outside of Texas, anything outside of Texas, international engagement. So Louisiana or California or New Hampshire or Alaska are actually tied up in our international engagement program. And I got to tell you, I've met some pretty phenomenal people, and this whole, I guess the whole international engagement program is really our method of paying it forward. Some of you know the story of the first 2 years, or the 2 years that came before the foundation or the formation of the TNM, and how we did this deep dive and we looked at historical independence movements, but also contemporary, and we got a lot of advice and help. To this day, one of my good friends is George Constantinides, who was at the time a regional organizer for the UK Independence Party before it became the Brexit Party. That guy, just a phenomenal guy. And then, of course, I got to be friends with people like Dr. Thomas Naylor, who founded the Second Vermont Republic. And so there were so many people that helped us and helped us understand what it takes to pursue independence in the modern era. That we've always had a policy of paying it forward. So when you have these other independence movements out there, you have people in other states that want to reach out and say, hey, how can we do this in our state? We've had kind of an open door policy. I can't tell you the hundreds of people that we've talked to or advised or consulted with over the years, and it's been an incredible experience. But you can imagine that can be kind of a situation, right? We're working for Texas independence here, and we can't really shift resources to go help another state spin up their independence movement, right? That's not what we're here to do. We can help, we can consult, we can guide. We can't go run it for them, right? If people in Florida want independence, they got to stand up and say, I want independence, and they got to organize. And the problem that we have, that we identified and have known for years, is many of them don't understand. They're where we were in 2003, right? That's where their head is. They don't really understand how this stuff works. And rather than just consult with them all or leave them out there dangling, we decided to really do something about it, because, as you might imagine, given what happened this week, we've seen a number of people reach out from other states and be like, how can we do what you are doing in our state? And so this is the sneak peek. This really doesn't go public until tomorrow. But let me be the one to introduce this. I'm pretty excited. But welcome to the newest campaign or program of the TNM. It is usexit.org. And essentially what it is a clearinghouse, a place for all of those people, no matter which one of the 50 states they're in, to find out, to, number one, connect with people in their state who want independence, to step up, to help organize, or to just be a participant, but also giving them some concrete resources to get them started. And honestly, what led down this road was really twofold. Number one, it was the YouGov survey that came out that they fudged the numbers on, right? That we were able to point that out. There's a whole podcast about that. If you go find the podcast, the Texas News podcast that I did called Will Your State Leave in a National Divorce, you can hear the whole thing, right? You can hear the whole methodology. But essentially what we did was we took those numbers and we said, wait a minute, there are like 23 states, 24 states that if it were to go to a vote, it would be right at a majority or over. And because of that, you know, it's the thing that we always say, there's no need to go out there and convince anyone. All we have to do is go look for the people that are already convinced. You know, when Survey USA releases a poll and shows that 60 to 66% of Texans believe that Texas should leave the union, and you see these numbers in these other places, you're like, look, there's enough. I can remember when we started the TNM, you know, support was in single digits for Texas independence, but we did it anyway. Some of these folks are in a position that is, you know, at least 4 or 5 times better than we were in when we founded the TNM. And so the challenge is they don't know how to do it, but now we're giving them the tools and the resources to do that. So usexit.org launches. It's live right now, but we'll officially announce it tomorrow. There it is, the 23 states that are at a majority. And it gives you concrete ways to, if you're in one of those states, to tackle it. So let's just pick one here. Let's pick Oklahoma, the largest county in Texas, right? You can click on it. You can see on a fair ballot, which is the bias adjusted numbers from the YouGov survey, that about 1.8 million people are ready to vote for it, be about 58% of the state. The floor is still 849,000 people. It's pretty amazing, right? That there are that many people out there ready to go. They just have to be found. And then here's a couple of stats. You know, Oklahoma would be the 53rd largest economy on the earth, right? So That's not shabby when you're looking at and measuring against 200 others, right? Out of 4.1 million people, that's more than the entire country of Uruguay, right? Yet they only have 7 seats in Congress. So the other 528 are chosen by people who don't live there, and they're in the top 6 for both crude oil and natural gas. They're a standout. So if they can't, then who can? Well, guess what? We've got stats like this all across the board for every single solitary state. We offer a complete takedown of the most common objection about Texas versus white. But more than that, we also offer them a concrete playbook, right? So this is offered as education and peer support for those people who want to do it. But we give them the tools and the resources so that they can actually start organizing their state for the independence movement. We've taken our 20-year history, my 30 years of experience, and distilled it down into a starting point. Now, this doesn't cover everything, but it is a starting point for any state out there who wants to do what we're doing here in Texas, right? Who wants to pursue independence. Not only do we offer the 90-day sprint and everything else, we also offer model legislation that they can file in 3 tiers, either a self-determination resolution, a study commission, or a full-on TIRA-style referendum bill. But they're all there and all ready to be used. So the bottom line, folks, is we are definitely this is probably going to be one of the bigger launches that we've ever done. And I say that because so many people have reached out to us over the years and asked how they can do what we're doing, right? We get people to contact us from out of state all the time, and it's either because they're going to come here and they support independence, or they want to do this very thing in their state because they support what we're doing. And now we're giving them the tools and resources to make that happen. So be looking for that announcement. It goes out to the media tomorrow. The website is live right now. TEXIT Partisan, I think, will have an article up about it in the morning. But surprise, right? And being releasing on the eve of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I think is quite fitting. Because that same spirit that drove the Declaration is alive and well in every single one of these states, even the low pollers. There are substantial numbers of people that just want to be able to govern themselves. And so this is our gift to the other states in the United States, this program of education and peer support, a website and infrastructure for them to be able to organize and do what we're doing. And so we're happy to provide it and produce it for everyone. And so if you know people in other states, this is going to be the place to send them to, because I think we're going to see a future where it's not just Texas and California and New Hampshire and Alaska, which I had a conversation with Bob Byrd from Alaska just yesterday morning, and they're putting the Alaskan Independence Party, they're trying to put it back together again. So I see a near future where it's not just, in Louisiana, it's not just going to be us. It's going to be at least probably 23 states, if not more. Because while 23 states are at a majority, there are enough states that are polling ahead of where Scotland polled before their referendum, before where Brexit polled before that vote. There's enough there that it's viable in most of the states. So very excited to share that with you guys. Hope you think it's as great of a thing as I do. I'm just very excited about it. And I want to thank the input from some of the other independence movement guys that we've been working with, of how we can make this better. Special shout out to Marcus at TEXIT for his input. He had some great ideas, and it's something that's been talked about for a while. So there you go, folks. Surprise. Oh. Hmm. Okay. Trading for Science says, how close are we? I don't know. Do you mean how close are you and I geographically, personally? I don't know. But if you're asking how close we are to Texas independence, we're as close as the people want it to be, right? So I've heard this. I've been asked this question in some shape, form, or fashion for the better part of 20 years. How close? When's it going to happen? When the people let it happen. Because Article 1, Section 2 doesn't say all political powers inherent in Daniel Miller. Because if it was up to me, it would be done 1 minute after 2 p.m., be like 2:01 p.m., August 24th, 1996. And I would have spent my adult life doing something different. But it says all political powers inherent in the people. So the real time on this is the people, right? And it go back to my commentary and my answers earlier about the process and where we are in the process. The building capacity gets you the vote. Getting you the vote gives you an opportunity to win the vote, and that capacity that you build there helps you win the vote. And then winning that vote and taking that capacity and expanding it further helps you secure the independence after the vote. It's a process. I mean, it's one thing right after the other, and you can't put the cart before the horse. And so, a lot of people just kind of want to pull a trigger and have this thing done like that. That's not how this thing works. I'm going to tell you right now, if you had the ability to wave a magic wand and make Texas independent this very second, without all this other stuff, you would shudder in fear and terror after it happened, because you hadn't done all the stuff ahead of time, right? Okay, we're independent today. Well, guess what that's called? That's called the dissolution of the Soviet Union, right? Or the dissolution of Yugoslavia. When you pull those pins, or you wait for everything to collapse, and then you have independence. And that's why I say, look, we will have independence by design or by default. You don't want it by default, right? You want it by design. You want to be able to call the shots. You want to be able to shape the direction of it. If it happens by default, that means that everything else has gone to hell in a handbasket around it. And that's not what you want. I mean, it could be what you want, or maybe what you think you want, but it's definitely not what you want. And so I choose, and the rest of the TNM chooses to do this by design. This is why we work every single solitary day to make Texas independence a reality, to form up the core, the mass, to build the capacity, to get the vote, to win the vote, and to secure the independence, right? So that being said, I would encourage you to go sign up, right? Go volunteer, go to thetnm.org and get plugged in, right? Get plugged into what we're doing, because we need everyone. Like, we shouldn't even be talking about how close are we if we've got a single whole field in county coordinators on the map, right? We need 254 because there's 254 counties. The fact that we don't have 254 means that we're not as ready as we should be. Okay. So something to think about. But thank you for your question. All right. Let's go here. Oh, I'm getting close. All right. Fun. Okay. This one's from Buddy. Buddy says, you rightly distinguish state, nation, and country. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Do you have similar thoughts on how we conflate freedom, liberty, and independence? Let's go in. Yes, I do. And it may be worthy, now that you mention it, of an essay. But let me just kind of give you the broad strokes of this is what I see. The contention is, for those of you who don't know, what Buddy's referring to is that I am very particular about the terms state, nation, and country, because they are three different words that have three different definitions. And my contention is that so much of the problem that we have to contend with today comes from the fact that people use those words interchangeably and they don't understand their distinct meanings, right? So nation, shorthand, nation, people, state, entity, government, country, the land, okay? You think of those. So when you call something a country, or when you talk about the nation, or when you call something a state, understand that those things have very specific definitions, and they are not, in my mind, interchangeable. Now you can group them together. You know, you hear people refer to, and you hear me refer to Texas as a nation state. That is a people that have their own government, right? That have their own sovereign entity. They live in a country, right? So that nation state has a country. And so it's a pretty cut and dry thing for me. And I would encourage people just to think about those three words when you hear them or use them, you know, particularly as you're getting ready to go into July the 4th, Independence Day celebrations or gatherings, and just listen to, you know, how people conflate these, right? For example, you know, a national anthem presupposes that there is a nation to go behind it. But if you believe that there is an American nation, then what you believe is something that was effectively drummed up in the mid 1800s, mid to late 1800s, and was not a core feature of the founding of the United States, and was not a really a strong proposition held by a lot of the founders and the framers. It's not the way that it was intended to be. You know, each state had its own national character. In effect, each state was its own nation state, right? And its state, its borders, its land was its country, right? And you could say country could be the broader geography. But if you say America, well, what is America? Well, is that north? Are you talking about the geography? Are you talking about a people? Are you talking about an entity? What are you talking about? So you understand how these things get conflated. And these words matter in the context of the relationship that we have with the federal government and the imbalance in that relationship and the broken nature of it. How these words are defined and used makes a difference. I'm not being overly critical, and I'm not playing semantics. I'm saying words matter, and these words matter more than most people give them weight. Hence why people just interchange them all the time when they are clearly not interchangeable. So Buddy's question is, do I have similar thoughts? Am I also particular about the terms freedom, liberty, and independence? And I would say that yes, because I think those are three distinct words that describe three distinct states or concepts. Okay, freedom, and I'm just going to broad stroke it because I'm going to be out of time. But I will promise I'll do an essay on this one because this is a really good one. Freedom, individual, right? Liberty, the apparatus or structure that basically, I guess you could say, facilitates the individual freedom, right? So within that citizen kind of scenario, and then independence is I guess you could say the lack of dependence of that sovereign entity with the liberty that allows the freedom. So rather than seeing these as three distinct kind of side by side, I actually see these as stacked, right? They're layered, right? So independence ensures that you have liberty, which liberty ensures that you have freedom. And so I see those three concepts as essentially stacked, as nested circles. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to have to do an essay about that one because that one is a good one. So here's what I'll do. As soon as we do it, as soon as I get it done, I will make sure that it's posted in the commentary on TEXIT Partisan, and we'll send out a link. Which reminds me, if you are not getting our emails, you are one click away from making that happen, right? All you have to do is go to vtnm.org and sign up, or you can go sign up on the Texan app, right? Texan.app. And you'll just get notified when those brand new posts are made. So anyway, thank you for that one. Let me do one more sweep here to make sure. Okay. Can an independent Texas be governed by its current constitution? Yes and no. If you mean current constitution, basically as it stands today, the answer is no. Okay. But can the current document be amended? The answer is yes. And so rather than having to start from scratch, a blank piece of paper, you can amend it. I talk about that in the TEXIT book, talk about it in the TEXIT blueprint. I've talked about it a lot. So the answer's there. And actually, I think it's in the FAQs on the etnm.org. So there's that one. And then somebody posted a question, Mr. Milton or anybody who wants to rally in Fort Worth. I don't know. That's not a question. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. I think, guys, I think we're good. I think I have cleared the board. One last check here, and we are good. So thank you everyone for the questions tonight. These were all very good, very insightful. I'm just going to encourage all of you. Look, you know, I want you to think about this birthright citizenship situation, because I have been watching our people, not just our people, but people here in Texas, thinking about this like Americans and not like Texans, right? In the sense that they're arguing over birthright citizenship, right? That becomes the thing. Who gets to determine? You know, is someone a citizen by birth, or is there a citizenship process? Like I have my own personal feelings about this, but here's the thing. My personal feelings on this don't matter. And frankly, neither do yours. And here's why. Because neither one of us got a seat at that table that made that decision. Texans didn't get a seat at that table. Instead, what we got was an edict handed down from 9 black-robed judges who sit like gods upon us and put their rubber stamp on a failing federal system that is hell-bent on suicide, right? It is literally in a position right now where they're like, look, it doesn't matter what is best for this entity or for the people in this entity. We just are going to preserve this dysfunction. Texans, we don't have to put up with this. We have an opportunity to do something different. But much like so many, I mean, guys, I've been through so many of these Supreme Court situations that I'm almost impervious to them now, right? I'm almost immune to their effects because I stopped thinking like that a long time ago between, well, what is the deal they decided? I don't care what they decided, because what they decided didn't have us in the equation whatsoever. But it's something that we have to live with the consequences of. I don't care what side of this issue you're on. The fact of the matter is you didn't get a seat at the table. We didn't get an opportunity. We weren't advised. The people of Texas didn't get to sound off on this. Instead, what we got was edicts from on high, like we always get. So, you know, I would suggest instead of arguing amongst yourselves, Texans, about how right or wrong or constitutional or legal, you aim solidly at the offender. And the offender is this relationship that we have with a federal system that does not know us, that does not consult us, that does not care for us, and in the end will destroy us if we stay tethered to it. That is the real enemy. That is the real problem that we have, is that we continue to stay tethered to a system that does not care about us. And so here we are, yet again, with a lot of people up in arms about, you know, something the Supreme Court did. Well, how about we do something that guarantees that we never have to worry about what the Supreme Court of the United States thinks again? That thing is called independence. The only way out is out. That's it. And whether it's that particular issue or the campaign finance issue or the fact that they're turning over postal mail ballots, I mean, they say they can just trickle in however they want to. They're basically turning over your elections to an agency that is like literally 2 months away from being bankrupt. And you know, no, it's become the butt of so many jokes because it's dysfunctional, but that is ultimately who gets to have the say in the elections. And look, I'm not going to unpack that whole thing. I mean, that would be an entire episode of a podcast unpacking what a joke it is, turning over that kind of power to the Postal Service and why that is just a recipe for disaster. But look, anything that happens now is just adding insult to injury. But the real question is, what are you going to do about it? Is it enough to motivate you to do something about it? Is it enough for you to say, you know what, I'm tired of thinking that way. I'm tired of dealing that way. I'm going to throw everything I am at making Texas independent because that's the only way I never have to worry about that again. Is that the position you're in? Because anything else short of that is just old man shaking fist at cloud in the sky, right? It's just performative. The real way out is out. And we've got that way. We've told you time and time again how you can get involved, and I'm going to do it again. So here you go. If you're ready, right, head over to Texian.app. Get plugged in to the TNM, right? I'm telling. Look, if you got questions, go to thetnm.org. I've said it. You know, there's the FAQs there. There's so much there. There's ways you can get involved. But if you want to just cut to the chase, get on the app with the rest of your fellow Texians and let's get to work. Go to Texian.app or get the app in the App Store, for the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Look, if you want a handout, if you want things, Texas-themed, TNM-themed, TEXIT themed items to show your pride, to basically show people that you've crossed that line in the sand, go to TexianStore.com. And of course, I mentioned it a couple times, but go to TexianPartisan.com, right? Go look at the news there. That's where you got to consume your information. And, you know, I showed you this earlier, but I'll show you again just because I'm so stinking proud of it. But there it is. So today is your day, right? It's like, am I going to continue to put up with it, right? Or am I going to do something about it? Because you don't fix the federal system by electing more people. I mean, it's literally the thing that Charles asked about, the thing that's on the push card right there. You did everything right. You voted, you called, you showed up, you sent good people to Washington, and it still got worse. Maybe the fix was never a better candidate. Maybe it's a free Texas. It's literally right here. But the fact of the matter is you got a chance to do one more thing right, and that is help us make Texas a self-governing, independent nation again. Okay. All right, folks. Well, that I do believe is a wrap. So what I am going to do is I'm going to leave you with the words that I leave you with every time we're together. They're not my words. They're the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. That time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.